It's setting up now. Let me see what we're looking like. Meeting. Okay. All right, we live. We live. What's happening, Facebook? What's happening, YouTube? It's your man, Marifa. We black yet again. Still Building Podcast. Let's get it. We going with the intro. Let's go.
Rock with me.
Come on.
For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D. Not up in your club or in your VIP. For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D. Down with G.O.D. Rock with me. For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D.
Yeah.
Not up in your club or in your VIP. For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D. Down with G.O.D.
Listen.
Rock with me, not seeking self but G.O.D. Not a fake Jay-Z, you're not a B.I.C. You're not yoked like me, crazy, fake B, still blind and can't see glory. Yeah, he can't preach like my brother Corey, but that's another story, not the one you sold me. I study scripture, don't depend on what nobody told me. I keeps it real, man, and never live phony. Homie, been this way from the start. Hear me, life on earth is a foul on the heart. Tell me, who will be able to stand when they pull your case file, put your life in his hands. Under grace I am, stay cool as a fan. Can you please understand? I'm on the mission from God, pure heart. Stay away from the dark. All my rhymes come with warning, cause they will leave a mark.
Rock
Fast
with me.
Fast
For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D. Not up in your club or in your VIP. For the Lord, I live them down with G.O.D. Down with G.O.D. Rock with me.
Yeah.
For the Lord, I live them down.
Yeah. It's your man, Marifa, black yet again, man, with another great episode, man. The Still Building Podcast, episode 4. It's your man, Marifa. We are black yet again. Man, we got us a great topic today, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We talking about female jealousy, child entitlement, myth or reality. Let's get into it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to bring my panel on. We're going to got a special guest for y'all today. So dig. I'm going to bring my panel on and get them in the building. You dig? Let's get them in the building. Yeah. Let's get them in the building. Here we go. Still Building Podcast. Here we go. Jack O, Kit Jones, and ladies and gentlemen, we got the divine feminine. We got the divine feminine in the building today, y'all. Special guest, the queen, Faith B. Come through, Queen B. There she is, ladies and gentlemen. Faith B. Yes, she is, ladies and gentlemen. Faith B, Queen B is in the building, you dig? Everybody, man, love Still Building Podcast. You know what I'm saying? Looking beautiful as ever. You know what I'm saying? Listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, we got us a great episode today. Our panel is amazing. We have such great, amazing guests today. We're going to be discussing, female jealousy, child entitlement. Is it a myth or reality? You know what I'm saying? So we got a lot to get into and cover within our little time frame that we got into, but we're going to get straight into it. Let's get right down to it. You know what I'm saying? So let's get into the question real quick. Faith B, can black women get along? What's going on?
Wow, man, can we get along?
Talk to me.
That question within itself leads down to so many other veins. And I'd like to be able to tell you that the small of it is we can, but the big of it is sometimes we don't. Does everyone have that inherent ability? Do all Black women have that inherent ability to get along? Yes. What keeps us apart? What keeps us from getting along and building those bridges and being supportive of one another? You nailed it, man. Jealousy.
Yeah, it's a very difficult thing, man, to deal with. I don't understand it. You ever seen like two dogs meet each other for the very first time? You ever witnessed that before? And how they just be barking, going at it. And then all of a sudden, they just can't stand each other. And sometimes I see that in Black women. You know what I'm saying? It's like when they first see each other, it's just that initial reaction. It's like, what is really going on here? I don't understand the issue and the energy. No, I know that's not all black women. So we're not painting the brush. You know what I'm saying? We're not doing the generalization or nothing
Right,
like that.
right,
We
right.
all know
We're
that,
not
you
we're
know,
not using a broad brush.
no, we're not using no broad brush. We're
Right.
not beating nobody up. We're just trying to understand and gain the understanding what is really going on. You know what I'm saying? We need more unity on there. You know what I'm saying? What you think, Kid Jones? What's going on with it?
Oh, I totally agree, and I thank you for phrasing it the way that you did, and going back and saying, we're not painting a broad brush and saying everyone behaves this way, and just to land, and this is why we asked you to be.
Did we lose Kid Jones, Mike? I think he frozen right now.
I think we
Be on
did.
faith. Oh, hold
All right,
on.
he black. He black yet again. All right,
Yeah, peekaboo.
black yet again.
Peekaboo.
It's all good. Technology is what we do, man. You know what I'm saying? It's technology. It's 2023.
Yeah. And I'll be in and out
Indeed.
anyway. And I'm gonna have to pause a few times and mute myself because I am working right now. But I was saying we have a blessed unfair advantage over a lot of people because of our military background, where we were forced to not discriminate, right, and to look at things a lot differently without biases on gender or whatever. It was an expectation that we were all to perform, and I think that made us a lot more culpable and credible in a work environment outside of the military because of our experience. Like we'll look at a situation, you kind of assess it and go, okay, let me deal with it this way, right? So, that's another, standing strong point for like this podcast is that, we kind of bring that extra, well, look, we've done it like this before, and then we do it this way in the civilian world. And that makes us a lot more, capable.
Yeah, definitely. But Jack, man, can you pick up on
To
some of
maneuver.
that, man? My bad,
Yeah,
my bad.
man. Listen, hopefully, am I in here?
You
You're
in there,
in.
bro? I got you.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully, man. Listen, I won't sound like I'm coming off as bashing women or anything, man. But there are, some things that I noticed, about women that's definitely different from men, of course. But the Bible puts it this way, man. How can two walk together except they agree? You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So there has to be some agreement, you know. But the whole thing is bringing different personalities and all of that stuff together, right? So if we can, as black women, black women can come together, man, with an agreement that, okay, we're going to agree to disagree, as we stated before, right? You got to be able to do that and not be jealous. I was talking to someone just the other day, man, and I told them, they asked me something about women. I said, this is what I know about women, right? One woman can have everything in the world, but if the other lady got a rock, she want that rock that lady picked up off the ground because it's different from everything else that she had. And look, she said, yeah, you hit it dead on the head. So that's just my estimation, man, of the things that I see in regards to women, period, totally.
Yeah. So I could think, man, I could see like I'm gonna give y'all this situation like at my job, right? People shall remain nameless. Right. So I got a situation, professional situation on my job. So I'm supervising these people and stuff like that, right? And there are some other supervisors, a female supervisor that wants to get at another female employee of mine. And they just kind of like button heads, because one person doesn't want to listen to the other. You know what I'm saying? And they coming at each other on email and, complaining to the boss about this and complain. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why can't y'all just talk it out? So I asked one of my employee, I was like, look, why don't you just call the individual, and then talking about it and see what's going on, if y'all can overcome whatever y'all dealing with, because it seemed like y'all have a problem. It's like personal. She ain't want to do I can't do that with that. That's so and so. I can't. Like, what do you mean? Y'all both adults, we professional, we working together, you know what I'm saying? You should be able to have a conversation and get beyond all of that petty. You know what I'm saying? Just get beyond the petty and then just deal with it. But see, like, well, yeah, she always thinks she this and she thinks she that. And I'm like, why? I don't understand it. I don't get that.
Man, I know you see me over here sitting up,
Yeah.
sitting on the edge of my seat, ready to be all in and be all here. So first, guys, let me just say, I really appreciate you all thinking about me and adding me into this narrative. And who better to speak on Black women than a Black woman? Now, I want to be clear about something. I don't speak for all Black women, but I speak for this Black woman. And there are some commonalities amongst us, and you see it in the workplace. Now, to Kit's point, we're at a little bit of a disadvantage because we were thrown into workplace situations. But even in the military, you saw that. A prime example of that is our other featured guest that we wanted to have today. I'm gonna name names because I can do that. Sherry Hud. Sherry Hud. We wanted Sherry Hud. She's out of the country enjoying time with her husband. She can do that. But
shout out to Sherry Hud.
Shout out to Sherry Hud.
Shout out to the Hudsons.
Yes. Happy birthday, Mike. And I think you're coming up on an anniversary. I just want to say this. Jack Gordon in the Car Chronicles. I'm gonna need you to pipe in. Okay. But anyway, when I first met Hud, we did not get along. We were like your female coworker, Sean. I know for me, it was like a bulldog thing in me. I was like, this girl don't know me, and she can't. I mean, complete with the neck motions and the neck popping and the dick. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. But what changed me and Hud's dynamic was, and we had outside influence. Oh, you all got more in common. I certainly wasn't trying to hear that. And even right down to Sherry progressing the way that she progressed in the military and me not progressing. I'm telling you straight out, I'm woman enough to tell you that was jealousy. And like, I can clearly identify that now, but at 20 anything, I don't know that I was mature enough to put words to it, but something happened and Sherry and I bonded on becoming a parent, and we came together on things that we found funny or common experiences. Common entertainment that we loved. And once I was able to really take off that jealousy hat and get to know her as a person, the dynamic changed. And it changed in such a way that 25 years later, 30 years later, man, time is 30 years later. Yes. I'm telling you that I had a housewarming October of last year. I bought a house. Sherry Hudson was at my housewarming.
Right. That's what's up. That's what's up, man.
So I'm telling you, I was her and I have this conversation going back and forth. And as it relates to the people in your office, Sean, I can't, other than jealousy, I can't speak to what causes Black women to be at each other's throats. But if you only need one of those women needs to just take a step back, take a lower seat, and try to find the common ground. It don't work for
Thank you.
everybody, but I would say that it would work for 90%. Now, what made me not want Sherry's rock, Jack? What made me not want that rock
Uh-huh.
was I had to mature and I had to grow, and there were more things in common than
Right.
than more things that we had, that weren't in common. And it sounds so cliche, but at the end of the day, after getting to know HUD, this is where I find us now. I want the best for her. I
Yes.
want her to be happy, even at the expense of my being unhappy. Now, somebody that's reading, look at this podcast is gonna be like, oh, she crazy. But here's the dynamic.
No.
Sherry wants the same thing for me. So she wouldn't take it to an extent where I would be unhappy. And I wouldn't take it to an extent where she would be unhappy. And that's where that myth needs to be dispelled. And you termed it a little bit different early on when we were talking about getting together on this podcast. That's that black girl magic.
Oh yeah.
So that black girl magic got some maturity to it. And it don't got nothing to do with your age. It don't have nothing to do with your age. We all can have that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Look, you mentioned mentorship, you know what I'm saying? And that was one of the things that building, back when we were in Germany was based on. Mentorship. How can we help these younger brothers come along and do great things? And that's what has happened, you know what I'm saying, over a period of time. In terms of jealousy, anytime you have a group, there's always going to be some jealousy in it. I was watching Unsung before I came to do the podcast, and they were talking about groups that had Escape, and then they had Drew Hill, and the whole thing that tore the groups apart was jealousy.
Yeah.
I saw one of my previous posts, and it talked about being on a team and relationships, right? If you are on a team, play your part on that team. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not gonna play your part, then get off the team because somebody else wants to win.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're holding up a spot from somebody else. So stop holding up somebody else's spot. Know what your spot is and get in your spot. And that is the thing with getting a group of people together, getting a group of women together, you know what I'm saying? Because across the line, we all have certain, the same human emotion, feelings, things that make us tick, and so on and so forth. One thing we have to understand is that we gotta know ourselves. We gotta know if we have a bad personality, we need to know we have a bad personality and accept the fact that we have something that we need to work on and work on those things so that we can be a part of the greater good.
So my question
bringing
is
about the necessary changes.
So my question is to the men, because like this black woman neck biting it's everywhere, man. I can see it 3 to 4 times a day, and I don't even watch Basketball Wives. And I'm not saying it's anything, somebody got to be the wife to the basketball player. Okay, I get it, but why is it so prevalent with the women?
Yeah.
Are you sitting here telling me that it don't go on with the brothers, that it don't go on with the men? Talk to me, kid.
No,
it don't go on with y'all. Like, what's up?
It does. And both you and Jack said something I want to tap on too. So yes, it goes on with men. I know decades ago, I used to call it cattiness, when you put a bunch of same sex together. So it doesn't matter if it's more women than men or if it's more men than women, because men do the same thing, and I'll just be candid. We call it, bitch assness, right? So you got men that do sensitive things, right? He's a little too bitchy inside, right? But along with that, I'm gonna tell you guys some things that I've learned, in my working history that helped me kind of befriend people, right? And Faith,
man, when it's getting good,
right?
Exactly.
You said it. Did I freeze? Did I freeze? Am I frozen?
You did. You did.
Okay.
You did.
When you find commonality with a person, right? I have been moved. I've been working this job for like 26 years now, right? And I've been someone that's been sent into those situations where, you know, you walk in day one and there's two people, I'm breaking up a fight because this guy, you know, I hate your guts and, you know, he did this and, right? So I've seen it with men. And then I've managed and supervised over women as well, right? But it's like finding those commonalities. So I'll give you guys some tips that I learned along the years because these are things.
Uh-oh. He got a bad internet
I was gonna say,
connection.
until Kit comes in, I want to know who's harder to manage, the men or the women?
Men. Am I back?
The men.
You're back. You're back.
The men. The men.
Yeah, men.
The men.
I would say men.
The men. It's just
Yep.
Really? What? Look,
Man,
on
they
my
don't want
job,
Kit to be heard.
man, you know,
So look, the universe is
just
causing
like-
Kit to come down.
Um,
it's big.
I would say
But
the
look,
men, you
if
know,
I'm
because
speaking
men are
from a
more.
job perspective,
Go ahead, Jack.
am I back?
Yep.
Yeah, charge, Jack.
Go ahead, Jack.
all right. If I'm speaking from a job perspective, man, to me, I've had less problems with men. You know, they go ahead and do whatever it is that I instruct them to do or whatever the case. Every now and then there is a, you know, little snapback, man, but we are always able to address it quickly and get it resolved. Now, with the women, on the other hand, they tend to linger with things a little bit longer. I had a coworker. I worked for the post office, and I'm automation clerk. You know, once I got promoted or took the position as lead automation clerk, man, my partner, who was a female, she stopped speaking to me. You know, she was upset with me as if I had done something to her. And I really didn't understand that mentality or attitude or whatever the case. So, Faith, if at some point you can help me to understand that, that would be great.
You know that's jealousy.
But again, with them in groups, you know, you have some who get along together, some who don't get along together. And again, that's just across all lines, whether it be gender lines, black, white lines, whatever the case, it's going to be some personality, and it's more of a personality thing than anything else, I think, as far as that goes. But you got to learn how to kind of humble yourself in certain situations and know that certain things are going to happen regardless. You know what I'm saying? Kind of have an expectation of it and know how you're going to approach it and deal with it. Yeah, especially if it's something that you've seen before.
Yeah, I would say, man, it's like
Yeah.
I've heard it said this way. You know, when people are looking at jealousy, looking at other people, measuring themselves up, it's like a reflection in the mirror. You know, they're seeing something that they're missing from
Yeah.
themselves, and they know that they're missing
Yeah.
something that's inside of them that they're not doing. So when they see someone else doing it, they get upset about the fact, not at that person, but truly themselves. You know,
Yeah.
It's
if they look at
projection.
themselves, yeah, it's a projection, you know, so they're looking at
Yeah.
themselves outside of themselves of what they should be doing. And then they're angry, not at that person, but they're
Yeah.
truly angry at themselves for not being either that confident or, you know, that, you know, self-aware, assured of themselves, you know, all of those things or whatever qualities that other individual exhibits or exudes is what they're not being. So then therefore it causes them to, you know, kind of throw that shade or that hate, or you know how they call it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she thinks
That's a
she all
deep
that.
thought,
No,
man.
And
You
it's
know what I'm
that it's
saying?
that disappointment in themselves, you know. It comes
Yeah.
across as
Yes.
anger, you know, but it's their anger, but it's that self disappointment, you know.
Yeah. And Jack said it, you know, you got to know yourself. You have to know yourself enough to be confident in who you are and know your limitations
Exactly.
and then work on your
So-
shortcomings. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you guys, hopefully I'll have a good connection for a minute. Things that helped me along the way were knowing things about people, right? So when I meet people, I look for
Mhm.
commonality. You know, my personal motto is I see
Exactly.
other people like a mirror. You know, if I look at you, there's something in that reflection that is also a reflection of myself. So once I find that commonality, and it's been, you know, and I'm sure you guys have experienced that. I have had, you know, an employee who, anyone you ask about, you know, that person, oh yeah, Cindy is the worst, you know, that be, you know, like everybody hated her, right? And then one day, and I was trying to find, you know, that crack, right? I'm looking for that path of least resistance, and I found it. One day she asked for vacation and she told me, yeah, me and my old man about to ride our bikes, you know, to Florida. And I was like, oh, you ride? Once I said that, and I found out she was a Harley girl, that was my best friend. Right now, she still hated everybody, and everybody still hated her. But at least I could walk up and say something, and okay, Chris, I'll get it, you know, and she would go on about it, right? So it's like finding that commonality. Another one, real quick, knowing a person's birthday. I'm
Oh
telling you,
yeah.
that goes so far. Just putting it in your calendar at work. Oh, so and so birthday coming up. Let me just send them a little happy birthday, and that means so much to a person sometimes because they're
Uh-oh. He was rolling too. I was like, okay.
you know.
Well, what he was saying, it really does, man. You know what I'm saying? You connect to them on an emotional level. It may be they just lost a loved one or whatever the case. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I often pass out cards, man. You know, just to let them know, hey, look, somebody cares about you. You know what I'm saying? It's me. You know. So when they have that feeling that somebody cares about them, that they're needed, that they're important, that's what everybody in the world wants. They want to be
yep,
loved. They want to
yep.
know that somebody else cares about them. They're important to somebody else, and all of those things.
So, Jack, is there ever a time where that connection just can't be made? Is there ever an instance where you just
Yes,
cannot? And how do you know?
yes.
How do you know when to toe that line, and how do you know when to cut it?
For me, the way that I have approached that particular situation is if you stop speaking to me, I'm not going to press the issue. Whenever you come back to me, then that's fine, you know, because I don't have any animosity towards you. I don't have any hate in my heart and any of those things going on. So at that particular point, you know, you just let them go. If you bumping heads all of the time, then it is an issue, and maybe it's not your issue, maybe it's their issue. But
Yep.
if you know it's your issue, then you know you have to take a long look at yourself. And the thing that I use as a measuring stick in that is if more than one person is reacting to me in a certain way, then I got to look at myself and say, hey, is it me? You know,
That's right.
and what about me?
That's right. Yeah, you definitely right about that, man, because everybody can be wrong. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's seeing the exact same,
Right.
you know, things from you, but you're not willing to admit that, hey, I have a problem. You know, the first step to recovery, the first step of actually growing and elevating and maturing is to admit that you have
Yeah.
flaws. You're not
Acknowledgement.
perfect.
Yep.
Acknowledging. Yeah, you have to admit that to yourself, not to everyone else, but to yourself. You have to come to reality. You have to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? I could do better. You know what I'm saying? I can be better, you know, and I want to do better. So you have to make that decision and choice for yourself. No one can make it for you. You know what I'm saying? People can criticize, they can look at you and give you, you know, advice and corrective criticism and all type of stuff. But if you're not willing to humble yourself and be able to look yourself in the mirror and admit that, hey, maybe I can do better in this area. Maybe I,
Yeah.
you know, maybe need to improve here or there. You'll never be able to grow. You will always be stagnant. You will always stay in that, you know, rut and spinning your wheels like a hamster. You're going to always go through the same scenarios. You're going to keep living those same things over until you learn your lesson. You know, the same mistakes are going to occur just with different people. You know, so it's like a spiritual thing with, you know, a spiritual battle that's happening inside of you internally. You're going to go through the same things, same situation, just with different people. you know,
Yeah.
and you're going to deal with that until you figure out that you need to change.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
need to decide that change and then make that change, step towards that change. Don't just say, oh, I need to change. No, start taking the steps to do those changes. You know what
And
I'm saying?
don't
Maybe
use
if
that.
it's
Don't use that excuse. That's how I am. You know, that's so many
Yeah.
people
right,
do that. Oh, that's just how you know how I am. Yeah, I know how you are, and I know you had the potential to do better. So I expect your black ass to do better, right? I mean, it's just that
that's
simple.
right. It's
It's
that
just that
simple.
simple, right? And it's no, you said
And
it, brother. It's
I,
knowing yourself and then knowing who owns the issue, right? A lot of times people have issues with stuff and they'll come to you negatively, but you don't necessarily own that, you know, and you kind of assess that in your mind too. What is this person's issue? Okay, you have this beef with me, but after I've explained my situation, I may not own that. It may be the onus is on you, you know, and so it's you know having
right.
those conversations, being adult enough to be the adult in the situation and realize, you know, what pressure needs to be applied. Sometimes, you know, a person can come at you angrily and you may say something that'll make them laugh, right? Oh, you know what? And then they calm down and right. And then we have to be honest too. We're not here to get along with everybody 100% of the time, you know, amicably, right?
Right.
There are some people in faith you ask, you know, can a person change? Are they always, yeah, some relationships are we're cosmically
Oh,
Oh man.
well, the universe is like,
bound.
kid, put a muzzle on kid.
Go ahead, y'all. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, kid. Go ahead. Go ahead, kid.
No,
No, I'm
Finish
just
your,
no,
saying,
finish
you
your statement.
you were saying we are cosmically bound.
Yeah, we have cosmic relationships, right? This is why we feel like we've known a person our whole existence, right? I know I was friends with this person in this life in a form.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Former life in a we have cosmic enemies too. We have some people that we just not gonna get along with.
Thanos.
Right. So listen, while you're saying that, I'm a co-sign on this, without going into a lot of detail. But our gracious host here, Maritha, and
Yeah.
I always thought that we had I hear you saying that, like, we shouldn't, like, there's some relationships that we're going to have, some enemies that we're going to have, and while we're in that same vein, I want to say that I think that there are some relationships that we need to fight for. Our gracious host Maritha and I, at one
Right.
time, we had similar beliefs. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I
And then
definitely tell my story about the Christian evolution. Yes, indeed.
okay, and then you changed your belief system. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a conversation that went on between you and I.
Yeah.
And basically, this is the way that I'm recounting the conversation. You were like, hey, Faith, I want to say something to you. And I was like, hey, if you're gonna be in the vein of bash, conversation over.
Right.
But if you really want to talk about this, then let's talk about it. And I am saying that I think I called you out, but I did it in a way that it wasn't to destroy this relationship, because I valued the relationship. I value you. I value our time together, because I feel like I feel like whenever we put it down, whenever we come back to it, we just pick it right up and we move it forward.
Right.
And
Pick up
so
where you left off.
right, we pick up where we left off. And so I'm telling you, I didn't sweat the discussion between us. But this is what this is what my prayer was, Sean. He's valuable to me. I love him. There's time here, and I don't want that time to just go to naught. So what are we going to do? And I think that the way that we agreed on this was, there are going to be some things that we agree on and some things that we disagree on. But as people, I don't have to snap my neck at you and be the angry Black woman. I can receive and listen and value your input. And it's okay to disagree. Just like when
Yes.
it's high five when we agree, it's okay to disagree. And like it's okay, you know, that like that's okay.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Because
you
in
know what?
everybody's timing, you know, to understand. Like when we was going through that transition, I was evolving from Christianity, trying to figure out and understand what it is I came to know from my research and studies, and you know, going to Egypt and going to Mexico and all of the stuff that I've seen and all the things that I've experienced. I was on a spiritual journey, and I wanted to share that experience with those I love. You know, people that I have, you know, a connection with as far as friendships and family and all type of stuff. I was just eager and happy to share that. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be able to share that knowledge and information with
Yeah.
you guys, and without, you know, I guess judgment or whatever like that.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't understand it was this. I didn't understand that it was not in everyone's time to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
there's levels and stages. This is
Sure.
what I come to understand. Everybody is going to believe because of the hope then, you know, the hope that they have in their heart. And then who am I? Because my understanding is supposed to be different than others' understanding. You know what I'm saying? What I've come to this earth to do is different than what others have come to this earth to do. And I had to accept that. You see what I'm saying? And be able to be okay with that and not be like, opposing in opposition and be like, oh, you know, you don't believe what I believe, then we ain't talking, we not friends no more.
Right, because in the back of my mind, I was like, your transition and my transition. So what I focused in on was, okay, here's someone that I've known since I was in my. Did you just say it was 30 years, Kit, since we did this thing? I was like, I'm not willing to. Okay, not a lot of people that I know have 30-year relationships in their backpack.
Right.
And I loved you enough that I wasn't willing to let go of the relationship.
Right.
I was like, this is somebody that I actually love. But this is what I also learned, that that the ones that you love, and I know that this is your still podcast, still building podcast in the building, and I know that you'll transition. But like this is this was so important to me that I didn't want to let that go. And I know that you'll transition into our other things, but this is one of the reasons why I didn't, because you need people, in your backpack that have known you for 30 plus years. You all knew me then. I'd like to think that as we are reconnecting, you know me, there's still some things that you know about me that's true. Like one of the things that you knew about me back then was I wasn't going to hold back. I was going to tell you. That's still true to this day. I've just learned to do it a little bit more lovingly and take that sting off of it. Because I used to give it to you, and where the chips fell, that's where they fell.
Just like 100%. You're gonna keep it 100.
Right.
Straight up 100. Ain't no chase. Straight no chase. Straight
no lose.
Hey.
I just gave it to you, but now I understand. I understand now we need a little chaser, you know. Gotta put a little ice in the glass, you know, make it smooth. But what I love, what I really love about this whole thing is it dispels the myth. Black people can have long-term, progressing, fruitful, knowledgeable, peaceful relationships. Yes, we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's the most important thing in the world. The relationships that you build. And that's something that I try to teach my children. You know, more important than money or anything else that you're going to come across in your lifetime, the relationships that you build is going to be one of the most important things that you'll ever do. That being said, of course, I'm not the host here, but let's get into some of this entitlement.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Switch it up. So yeah, man. So the next generation, right? Let's say millennials on back, right? Our generation, we Generation X, right? So Gen Xers, we have this, all this commonality where, we have a work ethic that we value. You know what I'm saying? The work ethic is kind of like, okay, we saw our parents, go through, my parents, retired 45 years and this, that, and the third on the job. And, you see that growing up and you want to emulate that and be like, okay, this is what success looks like. This is what it should be, so how did we get a generation that feels like, we owe them something?
How did we get a generation that says, I told you I didn't want no Tesla?
Oh,
I wanted a BMW. I watched it twice because I was like, I didn't hear something. Then I was like, is this real? Is it staged? But even if it was staged, understand that there are youngins out there that feel that way. I would have been fortunate to get my mother's station wagon.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
With the toy wheel on the back, the two front halfway flat, the paneling missing off, the door taped shut. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you was happy with that too.
Happy. Rode everybody.
Part of the reason why that probably should have been her first car. Don't start her off that way. Start her with the one that she can go crash and it won't mean anything to you since you got disposable Tesla income, right? Start her off in one of them smart for twos.
One of them, those push starts. Kid, I bought a car for $300 in Germany.
Me too.
That Michael Burgess and I used to have to we have to push it back into the park space because you would have to come out in the morning, start it, pop the clutch, hope that it rolled down, and then that's how we was getting to the base. But we gave everybody that we saw walking on the way a ride.
Yeah,
we was in there 8 people deep, and we let 6 people out before we got to the MP stop. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Hey, let me put this question out there. Is it a class, societal class type of thing that you think it is, as far as maybe the upper class or the richer people who have more money, you know what I'm saying? Their children feel like they're more entitled, or does poor people experience the same thing with their children?
Yeah, they do. I think, man, because of social media. Social media gives a lot of false impersonation of people pretending to be successful when actually they may be struggling on the back end. And they're not willing to admit that because they want to present a certain facade to, their so-called friends to be able to compete with them. You know what I'm saying? And then that competition then becomes their reality, because now I had to, create or make it happen so that way I can go ahead and post this pic or do this video. You know what I'm saying? So now
and it shakes hands with something that you said earlier. When we look in the mirror and there's something lacking in us, we see it in that other person, but that's lacking in us, and it creates jealousy. I think that also shakes hands with that entitlement mentality. When I look in your mirror, or Jack's mirror or Kit's mirror, I shouldn't focus in on what's lacking. I should be celebrating those factual things, because here's the handshake. If I come to you all and I'm expressing, oh, well, man, I wish I could supervise some people. Y'all, I ain't supervised nobody. I said supervising faith is enough. But like
I need to go back to yours. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of my
I'm using that as an example. Like, oh man, I wish I could supervise like they supervise. I believe that instead of developing jealousy because you're successful at what you do, that if I came to you and my mindset was right and I was in a place to receive, that there might be some mentorship there, so that so that jealousy doesn't ensue and then doesn't give birth to entitlement.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So Kit was on a great path, if I can keep on. Kid was on a great path, you know, that is how we train our children and what we train our children to believe is important. For one thing, you know, if we put the importance on being successful and obtaining this and obtaining that more so than building relationships and things of that nature, then that sense of entitlement, we're giving birth to it and we're nurturing that sense of entitlement, especially when we continue to give them things rather than let them work and earn things. You know,
Yeah.
now I know for myself, I come from a huge family, man, and we were on welfare, but I still had a sense of entitlement, you know what I'm saying, for the most part for a long time. Even though I started working at an early age, and you know, I would get out in the neighborhood, man, and hustle and, you know, wash cars, do whatever, you know, but that's where that work ethic and all of those other things that taught me the value of money and relationships and all of these things came into play, you know. And one of the things was I had a lot of older mentors. I talked to a lot of the elderly people in the neighborhood because that's who I did a lot of work for, you know, cutting grass, going to the store, washing cars, all of those things. And developed relationships with them, man, and they would put me up on a whole lot of knowledge as a young man to help guide me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say this, man, our generation, when we came up, I don't know if this was the same for y'all, but growing up, I was like the oldest, you know what I'm saying? So I had to take care of my younger little brothers and sisters. We were latchkey kids. You know, you put your key to your house on your string and tuck it under your coat so nobody see it. So when you came home, you had to make sure, because mom and dad was at work, you know, when you got out of school at 3 o'clock. So when you came home, you had to open the door for your brothers and sisters, make sure they start doing their homework. You start getting a little dinner cooking, you know what I'm saying? And then by the time mama get home at 5:30, 6 o'clock, dinner would already be started. You know, your brothers and sisters be doing their little stuff. So our generation had more responsibility to our younger siblings. And then one of the worst things we could have ever said, our generation as a collective, was, I'm gonna never do that to my kids when I grow up. You see what I'm saying? So then we started giving them more things. You know, I'm guilty of that myself. You know what I'm saying? I bought my daughter a car when she turned 16, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I was giving them, you know, stuff that I never had growing up because I wanted I didn't want them to struggle like I did. You see what I'm saying? So I felt a need to be able to provide for them. But when I was younger, it was only 3 times that you got something. Your birthday, you know what I'm saying? Going back to school, and Christmas. That was it. So throughout the rest of the year, you didn't get nothing else throughout the rest of the year. You know what I'm saying? So you look forward to the journey. So when you finally receive, it was appreciated. You know what I'm saying? Now it's just kind of like everything it's a Tuesday. So let's go to Walmart and let's buy you this video game just because it's a Tuesday.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? There's nothing.
You know, psychosocially, the term is it's called long-term gratification, right?
Yeah. Boy, the universities will not let kids be great today.
With this man, but so that's a term that I've never heard. I know that kids gonna jump back on. That's a term that I've never heard. And Sean, I'm shocked that you bought your kids a car. Now I didn't buy my kids a car, but I sure helped them. I sure helped them get that. So I'm just as guilty. And I agree. One of the worst things I said was I'm never going to treat my kids like that. But I think that but we still held our kids we helped them a lot more than our parents helped us, but we still held them to a standard. Like Morgan and Monique and Miles, they weren't handed stuff on a silver platter. You know, you want strawberries, I'm gonna take you out here in this field and show you where they come from, and we're gonna pick some, because they just don't magically appear on a shelf.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
You got to figure out how they develop.
Yeah.
I have given my children everything that I could possibly afford to give them. Haven't bought any cars yet. Well, yes, I did. Actually. I did. But the thing about it is, man, I've never tried to shield them from anything. I wanted them to be exposed to every aspect of life, and every walk of life, so that when they come across situations and circumstances that we may have not been familiar with, they're somewhat familiar with those things. And again, for me, I try to make every moment a teaching moment. I have teenagers now, 17-year-old twins, and so yeah, we're in the process of going through that car thing all over again.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, right, they're working and they understand, you know what I'm saying, that okay, I gotta earn this. You know what I'm saying? It's not just going to be given to me. So that's the thing that we have to teach in regards to entitlement. Yeah, we want things to be better for them. That's why we're doing what we're doing now. But we want them to have an understanding of how the better came about, and it wasn't just that, okay, dad was born with money. No, mom was born with money. And
Yeah.
so I have the privilege, you know what I'm saying? It's a right, it's an entitlement. It belongs to me because I was born into this family or whatever the case. No, yeah, you were born into this family and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, you have to earn your spot on this team in order to be able to play.
That's right. That's excellent right there, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to value the journey. Value the journey of how you getting there, the process. I can remember our father taking us on long, car rides and stuff like that to the East Coast in New York and Jersey and stuff like that. And along that journey is where you had the most fun. You know what I'm saying? You driving on that car road. And those were the stories that we remembered the most. You know what I'm saying? Things that happened along that journey. You know what I'm saying? We got it's just almost like what's the name of that movie? National Lampoon Vacation.
Yeah.
the Griswolds going from Chicago all the way to Wally World. So that journey is where you pick up all the value and you know what I'm saying, and everything along it. And then the end result is Wally World. You know what I'm saying? Be like, okay, that's where we're going. This is our destination. But today's generation is like, okay, I don't want the journey. I don't care about that. Give me Wally World. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
We got to get to Wally World first.
It's missing that experience along the way, and that's part of what the trip is all about. And it's the long-term gratification I was trying to speak on too, is like when you have a goal, and Jack was saying it with having 17-year-olds that are working, they have a goal in mind, and we as parents also have to come to the realization that at some time we go from being mommy and daddy to being advisors to our children. Yes. Hey, baby, I'm just giving you advice, right? You're going to have to experience these things to gain the knowledge from it. So, you see how the universe works out. The thing that I was trying to communicate, Faith spoke on, Jack spoke on, and you spoke on, Sean. So, the message is still going out there, but that's what I was trying to, allude to was that.
Oh.
My man's is on it. I want to hear Kip say it. I want to hear Kip say it. Like you're on it. You're on it.
The edge of my seat like this. I'm like on the edge. I'm like, this is what I'm waiting for. The anticipation to hear what he got to say. Boy, the universe, boy, the universe.
Yeah, I'm locked in because I need to be able to use your words on my kids because Jack, man, my heart goes out to you. I'm remembering when my kids, Morgan, Monique, and Miles were 17, and like the best thing that's happened to me is that they are now full functioning adults, and just on GP, every once in a while I get in there and I slam Miles' car door.
Right, just because.
Yeah, remember when you did that to mine? And they like, Mom, you ain't got to hold up, every once in a while, I ransack Miles' refrigerator and eat up all his stuff, saying, hey, just remember, you did this to me. And so that's
right.
that reverse parenting entitlement. But I don't do it all the time. But just to bring them in and say, hey, y'all remember when y'all used to do this to me? And so yeah, it's Kit,
Yeah.
I'm listening to you. I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm dialed
I
in.
know. And I keep getting cut off. But again, you guys are filling the blanks in, because what I'm not saying, you end up saying, we transition from parents to guidance, right? Our responsibility as parents is to help them develop into responsible little people and raise their asses to be responsible big people, right? It's not to, for some of us, we end up living vicariously through our kids. I never made it to the NFL, but Aquanika is going to make it. So, they got a lingerie league. She can go play in that, right? We live vicariously. Nothing against a parent who does that. That's your lot. But for the most part, our responsibility is to get them from being responsible little people.
Sean.
So, hey, look, based on what Kit was saying, right? The thought had occurred to me while I was sitting here, and that is that we're born with a sense of entitlement, right? As babies, we come out of the womb crying because we want that milk. So mom give us that milk, or dad, or whomever, you know what I'm saying? And it goes on the entire time. So as parents, we have to teach every step of the way. Okay, now, before you can do this, you need to know your ABCs. Before you can do this, you need to know how to count. So on and so forth, as a stair step from, like Kit was saying, bringing them from little people into full functioning adults. And then we have to recognize when we have made a mistake and cause that sense of entitlement to grow and become increased.
Yeah, man. Because see, a lot of times, man, we gotta understand and identify the signs. We ignore a lot of the warning signs and things that happen, and it's a very important part when a child is going through a certain development that you recognize those signs. I read body language a lot. You know what I'm saying? But like, okay, yesterday you were, you were pretty good yesterday. Your energy was up. You were positive. Today you seem a little down. You don't have your same energy that you're used to, you know what I'm saying? So now I need to understand why, what's going on, what can I do, listen and talk to them, and then listen, how you feeling today? What's going on with you? Certain things they mean to be discouraged, certain things they need to be uplifted and encouraged, giving a little positive pep talk, so to speak, when they looking at that social media and they comparing themselves and their lives to others, and they're feeling a little depressed about how their life is not going according to whatever other people are doing in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Social media has a very bad negative impact on it if you don't know who you are yourself. And it's always important to be able to tell your kids that and encourage them, hey, look, you're doing just fine. You're okay. Just continue to go on your path. Remember your plan. You know what I'm saying? Stay focused. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Yeah.
You're doing good. So a lot of that stuff, man, has to deal with their own insecurities and some of the things that they deal with on the inside. But you got to be able to recognize that as well and coach and mentor them through that, especially if they don't have a good support group around them. For us, when we was coming up in our younger days, we were all motivating each other because, we were able to be as a collective saying, hey, look, we got this village, you know what I'm saying? This community village that we all care about each other. We love each other. We want to see the best for each other. So therefore, we're going to share information, share knowledge, try to encourage, try to lift up, hey, give information and stuff like that. So that way you can continue on your path, your journey. You know what I'm saying? And if your kids don't have that same circle, and they're just by themselves or whatever, they don't have that encouragement, that little push, that they need to be able to go forward and move forward, then they can get stuck in a rut. You know what I'm saying? So,
to Kit's point, I'm feeling that, your parents and then you become advisors. For that social media thing, like there's times that I am still active, even though my kids are adults. I'm active in their lives. Like when I pop up, it's no phone time, it's no social media time. That's your time that you're gonna, because because I still got to check in. I still got to see what's going on with you, like what's happening in your life. You just got adult goals now. So like I use that. I will pop in, but I've been that kind of parent. I'm a pop in parent.
Yeah.
If Miles is not answering my phone calls, I'm on the road. And sometimes he's like, Mom, you call me 3 times straight. What you need? I need you to pick up the phone. And since you didn't, I'm en route. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you in a little bit. And then it ain't no, I'm going out with my friends or I'm doing this and that. You can still do that, but I'm gonna need a block of time so that we can meet right here, and then you can keep doing what you're doing. So like I pop in still on the kids right to this day, because you have to have that relationship. And I have a granddaughter, and she is like she's social media lit. Them eyes is bigger than 50-cent pieces. But like even in that, I'm like, okay, you got 30 minutes of that time, and then the next hour you're gonna spend with me. Let's talk about how you feeling. Let's talk about like what you doing, who you know in school, who trying to say something, who ain't trying to say something. And even in that vein, I pop up at the school. I'm a pop-up parent. I come to the school often enough that when I walk through that door, they already know what child I'm associated with, which I know we're not segueing, Sean, but let me just give a shout out. This is how I came to start mentoring at Free State Academy in Maryland. I'm gonna tell this quick story because we're talking about this entitled generation. This academy is a military style academy for at-risk youth. And so 2 young ladies decided they was going to escape from the academy. And they came through the woods. I had been out and was coming home and was backing into my garage. And I mean, in a matter of minutes, they showed up at the bottom of my garage, down at the bottom of the driveway. I was backing in and they weren't there. And I was coming into the garage kind of crooked, so I looked up to correct myself, and there were 2 people at the bottom of at the bottom of my driveway. And so I instantly thought, I know good and well somebody ain't gonna try to come and rob me, because they were dressed in all black. So I instantly went into attack mode. So what I did was I took a deep breath, and then I said, well, you better go see who this is. So I get out of my car. I'm mad as fire. I go down and I realize that they're really young. And I was like, y'all just don't know. Y'all almost lost y'all's life, because I thought you were. But I looked at them. I thought that they were there to rob me. But when I looked at them, they were dressed exactly alike. They were covered in tree branches and leaves. And I was like, y'all just come through the woods. I was like, somebody that failed land navigation. Oh, so they're up there, they're grabbing onto each other and they're crying. They ran away from this program. So I said, y'all know that it's going to be a bed check, right? Out of anybody's door on the planet that they could have knocked on, they knocked on the door. Yours. On my door, someone that had already been through all of that.
Yeah, so, ain't that amazing how the universe works?
So long story short, I came into this young lady's life because she was going through the academy. I ended up having to meet with the sergeant major to try to get her not kicked out of the program. They did kick her out of that cycle. She's re-entered back into this ongoing cycle. And so I popped in. At the school. I was like, I'm just trying to make sure you on track where you're supposed to be, and that you don't show up at my house, because it's going to be some real consequences if you do. We're talking about entitlement here. You don't get to knock on my door. You get to go through this class. And so she has a whole family surrounding her, but it's nothing wrong with this added support. While I'm visiting her, I run into somebody else. And this young man he's beside himself because his family didn't show up. And I'm ear hustling. And so I go over to him and I say, listen, man, in this life, we're going to be let down and we're going to be disappointed. You're here at this academy because of your choices. Let's complete this program. Let's make some better choices. And what I can promise you is I'm going to pop up in here on you. So I did a pop-up today because I can. Because I can. Who knew that I would be even back with any military style anything? But out of all of the houses in the neighborhood that they could have knocked on, they knocked on my door. So I need all of you all's positivity for these two kids. I don't know why they're in my life, but now that they're connected, you can't shake me. Indeed. And you gonna and Jack and Kit and Sean, they gotta be held accountable. They can't be walking around here with this "you owe me the world." It don't always go like it's supposed to go. Y'all, sometimes we get dealt a raw hand. All I'm saying is don't throw your cards in, play them right, and let's run a Boston. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Hit that space table. Let's go.
I speak success and prosperity into their lives right now. Success and prosperity. They're gonna have to go through the journey and do the work, but success and prosperity coming their way in all things in life. Yeah,
that's right.
And after that, I'm gonna have them here so that we can play spades with y'all sometime. Oh, I'm gonna drag them along. And we're gonna, if nothing else, they didn't even know what a Boston was. I was like, yo, man, y'all got time. Y'all got time. Just know we're gonna get them right. We're gonna get them right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, look, I was back to the daughters and things like that, right? I have a 27-year-old daughter, man. We talk almost every day, and we talk about parenting. And I told her that at this particular point, I'm still dad, but I'm more of a guide than I am, parenting. Right now I'm just a sounding board to help you gather your ideas together and stay on the path to success that you're on. Of course, a shoulder to lean on when you need to cry or whatever the case. And it's an outstanding thing. Again, another thing in regards to parenting, man, you have to know that each one of your children comes with a different personality. And you have to learn how to cultivate that personality. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily break them down and try to make them or mold them into what you want them to be, but cultivate the personality that's there. And help them to learn how to fine-tune the edges and get out of that selfishness and that entitlement and all of those things as well.
Absolutely. Agree.
Still Building Podcast, man. This is what it's all about. You know what I'm saying? Be able to share the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? That's what Marifa is for. Marifa is actually African Swahili for knowledge. It means knowledge. If you Google it on your phone, Marifa, and it'll tell you it means knowledge. So you're sharing knowledge and information with people who need a little help and support and understanding. And that's what we're here for. You know what I'm saying? Our time here on this earth is short. We got to leave a legacy behind to the next generation to be able to help them along their journey as they go through life. You know what I'm saying? And we got to pass this wisdom down as we approach our 50s. We're in our 50s now. You know what I'm saying? So we get to that point, man, we got a lot of life experiences to share, knowledge, the things that we've been through that we can share collectively as a whole and dispel this myth of, different faiths and beliefs not being able to communicate and talk, and have dialogue and all of that good stuff and share information. So being able to do that.
Black women can't be submissive to black men, or that we can't, or even that black men and women can't be friends, or that black women don't listen.
We deal with a lot of different things, man. It's a lot of different traumas that we deal with and go through as people. that we haven't dealt with and we're afraid to deal with because we don't want to admit that we have a problem. We always want to be looked at as, we got everything together. No one wants to admit, hey, I struggle with this, I struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? But you got to be willing to humble yourself and admit that, like I said in the beginning, in order to heal. That's the first step. You got to admit to yourself that you have something that you
Right.
struggle with and you need to improve. So therefore you seek help, with those who've gone through it. I've been this way my entire life. I've always had friends who were older than me because I learned from their mistakes. My older
Yeah.
brothers, would always teach me things. They were 10 years older than me. So I would listen to them and watch their lives, and I would be admiring the things that they do. And then I would see the bad that they do, and I would say, oh, I'm not going to do that. I
Right.
learned that lesson. But,
Right.
the good stuff I would take,
Exactly.
but the bad stuff, I would just displace it. But if someone doesn't have that, circle, those
Mhm.
friends, that group that they can actually go to and share information or be vulnerable to get information, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people are afraid. They got this wall up, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, protecting, their fakeness, so
Yes.
they're not willing to
Right.
be vulnerable, to someone and admit, hey, I'm not perfect. I have a few flaws, you know what I'm saying? So,
And you can't be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable with everyone. But if you can't be vulnerable with your immediate circle,
yeah.
Yeah.
you may need to step back and take a second look at your circle. Marifa
Very
in the
well
building,
said.
still building
Still
podcast.
building
Jack
podcast, baby.
Gordon, you know
Yeah.
what it is.
Indeed.
Kit, always a pleasure. I love you guys. This is where I got to cut out and move
Yeah.
on to my next
Sure.
task. I am so
Faith
honored.
B. Before you
You
do
all
that,
had me on this. Let's do this again. Let's do this
yes,
again.
we definitely gonna have you back for another topic for another show.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to ask you, where can the people find you before you go? Where can the people find you if they want more information?
I'm in the great state of Maryland. You can reach me on Facebook under my real name, Faith
All right.
Smith Burgess. I give my email, first name, FAITH, B as in Bravo, 68@gmail.com. Holler at me. I do answer emails. I love you
Right.
guys. I love
Love,
still
love.
building
Love you
podcasts.
Yes.
Love seeing you guys
Yeah,
again.
love.
Let's do this again. All right.
Yes, indeed.
Indeed.
Yes, she
All
is,
right.
ladies and gentlemen, the incomparable Faith B, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give it up for her one time. Let's give it up for her
See
one
y'all
time.
later.
All right,
The
sister.
divine
All righty.
feminine,
All right.
Queen B. Love you, Queen
Yeah,
B.
love you, girl. I love you.
Love you back.
All right, now. There she go, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man, we're going to close out, man. You know what I'm saying? We had an incredible show. You know what I'm saying? The panel was amazing. You know what I'm saying? The topics and the experiences, man, the knowledge that was dropped is invaluable. You know what I'm saying? I just hope that it helps someone, along their journey, that they watch this, maybe go back and rewatch the recast, you know what I'm saying, and take a look at that. But you know how we do it, you know what I'm saying? Kit Jones, drop your knowledge, baby. Let them know, let the people know where we find you at, bro. You know what I'm saying? I know you've been frozen. The universe ain't let you be great.
Indeed.
Go on, man. Go on. Watch the previous one from my contact, PHAMUS357@gmail. You can hit me up on Instagram, PHAMUS3.
Yo. Jack O, let them know where you gonna get, where can they hit you at? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, they can find me on Facebook, Jack Gordon. And of course, if you do want to
257.
send me an email, you can find me at Mr. Jack Gordon 17 at Gmail.
Yeah.
So, hey, send me an email. I'll read it. And
Yes, indeed.
We'll get back at you.
Yes, indeed. And you can find yours truly at Marie Fassar LLC, all streaming, all platforms, social media, whatever. And don't forget to go to mariefassar.com and cop some of that famous gear you dig. Marie Fassar, this is where we do it. We black business, black owned. Go and cop some of that gear, you know what I'm saying, and support black businesses. You dig? This has been another Spill Building podcast, man, where we have enjoyed knowledge has been being shared, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I say all the time, the more you know, the more you'll grow. And the better off we all shall be. So till next time, I'll say, man, love and light, y'all. Peace.
Peace. Two fingers.
Peace. Salute to my
Peace.
brothers. You dig? Great show,
Indeed.
fellas. Great show.
Salute.